Hi, my name is John Zimmerman, and I'm the Vice President of the Miami Valley Fair Housing Center. Today's YouTube video is going to concentrate on reasonable accommodations for people with disabilities under the Fair Housing Act. And on our website, there's a really easy way to get to that document. You just open up www.mvfairhousing.com, and on the left, you're going to see a tab that says Services References. Hit that tab and you'll see the word Accommodations, and then the document which is from a joint statement of reasonable accommodations produced by HUD and the Department of Justice. So federal non-discrimination laws like the Fair Housing Act and state laws like the Ohio Fair Housing Act protect residents from disability discrimination. The law prohibits housing providers from refusing residency to persons with disability or placing conditions on their residency because they require a reasonable accommodation. And let me explain this. A reasonable accommodation is an exception to a housing provider or a condo association or a homeowners association's rules, practices, anything that they do on a normal basis, or whether it's written or unwritten. So this applies to, as I said, homeownership associations, condos, landlords. It also applies to municipalities, assisted living facilities, homeless shelters, orphanages, and dormitories, when these exceptions to the rules or reasonable accommodations may be necessary so that a person with a disability has an equal opportunity to use and enjoy a dwelling. Let's take a look at this searchable document on our website. So to search it, all you have to do is to do a Control F on your keyboard, open up the search box, and then you can search things. If you put in the word disability, it will go to every place that the word disability is in the document. Next, I want you to notice that we will go to question 3, and that the whole document is in a question and answer format. So question 3 asks, who qualifies as a person with a disability under the Act? It states, and I'm going to read it, individuals with a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, individuals who are regarded as having such an impairment, and individuals with a record of such impairment. So the first one is easy to understand. A person who has a substantial limitation on a major life activity like breathing, seeing, hearing, thinking. But individuals who are regarded as having an impairment means that if someone is treated as if they have a disability and they're denied services, but they don't even have a disability, they could get relief under the Act. And last, individuals with a record of such impairment. A lot of people will have disabilities, but they don't physically present that. But if they have a record of that and they can get a third-party verification from an attorney or a doctor or a peer support group, one of many different types of reliable people that are in their lives, they can show that that they have a disability. So this definition tells us who can get relief under the Act if their rights are violated, and that having a disability is the first of 2 criteria for who can receive a reasonable accommodation under fair housing laws. To find out what the second criteria is, let's move to question 6. It explains, to show that a requested accommodation may be necessary, there must be an identifiable relationship or nexus between the requested accommodation and the individual's disability. So that there has to be some connection, and that's where third-party verification could be really helpful to show that, that there is a connection. So I also want to point out that this document has lots of illustrations in it. Now it's 17 pages long and I don't have time today to go through every page, but let's take a look. Staying with question 6, let's look at the example 3. It reads, a housing provider has a no pets policy. A tenant who is deaf requests that the provider allow him to keep a dog in his unit as a reasonable accommodation. The tenant explains that the dog is an assistance animal that will alert him to several sounds, including knocks at the door, sounding of the smoke detector, the telephone ringing, and cars coming into the driveway. The housing provider must make an exception to its no pet policies to accommodate this tenant. And this tenant, who has an obvious disability, should not be made to go pay a copay to get a third-party verification. Now, if this was a person who didn't present with a disability, you might ask them to get that third-party verification. So thanks for watching this quick, short explanation of reasonable accommodations. Check back with us because we're going to have a couple of more videos, one on reasonable modifications and another one that focuses on assistance animals. Good to see you today.